video, you'll learn how to write a rule based on a given table. And the rule is going to be in the form y equals kx or y equals x plus b. Let's go ahead and look at our first table in here. Now, the most important thing when you are trying to get a rule from a set of points in a table is the rate of change. When we're talking about rate of change, we're looking at two different sets of change. We're looking for the change that is happening between our y values and the change that is happening between our x values. And so we are going to take a look at the change of y values and the change of x values. And normally this is often seen as delta y over delta x. Before we do that, the first thing you need to make sure is your x values are in ascending order from least to great so that we can truly explore them. Now let's go ahead and look at our y values. Well, the change that I see here is -1 from 2 to 1, -1. And so I can tell that this is a constant change that if I were to keep going, I would still get a -1, -1. I'm going to go ahead and write that here. From 1 to 2, I see a +1. From 2 to 3, I see a +1. And that is constant. If I were to keep going, it would be a +1. So when I were to simplify this, then I basically just have a -1. And so I can go ahead with this and start writing my rule. My rule is going to be y equals, in this case it's going to be a -1x. Once you figure that out, what you need to do is actually plug in some of these values into this rule that you just wrote. So let's go ahead and take our first set of values. X is 1 and y is 3. And what I'm going to do is substitute the 3 for the y and substitute the 1 for the x in here. And when I go ahead and simplify, I notice that this equation is not true. So this rule is not going to work. But what is important here is for us to really look and see by how much. This -1 is actually supposed to be a 3. There is a 4-point difference here between what I actually have as a -1 and what I need to have as a 3. So if I were to plug in my other set of values, let's go ahead and plug in 2 for x and 2 for y here. What I notice is that this rule is also not going to work with this, and there is actually a 4-point discrepancy here, positive 4-point discrepancy. So if I were to add 4 to this value of -2, then I would actually do get a +2. If I were to add 4 to this value of -1, then I would actually do get a 3. So let me go ahead and do that to my rule. I'm going to go ahead and modify it by adding a 4. I do want to keep plugging in the values to make sure that this works. So I'm going to plug in 3 and 1 into this new modified rule. But it does actually work. Now let me see if it works for these initial values that we tried. So we know that this is the final rule.